Good morning. It's a Sunday morning if you're watching live. If you're watching the replay, thank you for checking in. I am Elle Ingalls, creator of the Pressure Free Method, and we're on the G's of pressure free living. So all week I've been doing the alphabet. If you're tuning in for the first time, I created an on-the-go stress management method that helps you interrupt the stress response so that every bit of your body gets to be free of excesses of stress hormones. Stress hormones are in the news a lot these days, and in terms of aging, in terms of chronic disease, and it's pretty incredible when you can learn how to stop releasing them so much. These are hormones we release inside right into our bloodstream. So they have a major effect on every one of our bodily processes. So the G's are a little bit different than what I've been doing with the other letters of this little alphabet I created. The first G is goal setting. It goes along with the first step of pressure free, which are defining targets, is defining targets. Let's get the grammar right. It was a big day yesterday, another big day today. So excuse me if I'm a little out there. So goal setting, um, it's interesting. Sometimes people hear goal setting or set your goals or anything around the word goals, and it actually causes some anxiety. I had a business owner where big sales were critical, and just hearing the word goal just set him into a tailspin. Did not like that word. So I use other words intentionally for people for whom that's the case. So I use words like visions, dreams, desires, so that we can soften any anxiety around thinking that we're creating something into the future. Because for some people, that feels difficult and creates some anxiety and nervousness. I have all kinds of very different goal setting tools in the pressure free method for that very reason. And some of them are simply, I call these life design tools, by the way. I'm going to give an example of one. One is the spirit of contribution. I had a great talk with my writing coach in New York yesterday, um, about about competition and competition. And I didn't even talk to him about contribution, but when I have a client who is hyper competitive, um, compares himself to others a lot, has a desperate need to win. It's one thing to not like to lose. It's another thing to be almost desperate to win because it's like so tied up with your identity to do so. I was a very competitive girl in music and in sports, so I understand how that can be, and I felt it. I've also felt like crashing and burning. I remember I lost an audition once. I just completely miffed a section of the Brahms Fourth Symphony. Like I just bombed it. It was so not typical of me in an audition. So it really threw me for a loop for a while. And so the tool that I've come up with to transform that energy into something that is useful, not only useful, but really needed in this world, I would say, is the spirit of contribution. I took the idea from a book called The Science of Being Rich by Dr. Wallace Wattles. He wrote in the early part of the 1900s, coming out of the Age of Enlightenment. Lots of interesting things he drops in his books. And one of them was that instead of being in a competitive mode, choose to be in a contributing mode. And I don't know if those were his exact words, those are the words that I've taken away with. What does that mean? My easiest way to explain it is I used to coach middle school track, and I treated my athletes almost like they were college athletes. I had them have targets, times, target splits for my distance runners, target heights for my jumpers. I coached high jump and distance, and I was very sweet about it and nice about it, but everybody had their targets. And so many times kids would cross the line and go, "Oh, Mrs. Ingalls, I could have run faster." And I'd ask myself, like, what holds them back? What prevents them from like just giving it all? And I came up with this idea that if we're in a competitive mode and we think we're going to win, then we'll play all out. But if we have any fear because of the weather or who the competition is, there's so many factors. If we fear we're not going to win, you can translate this to a job interview just as well as a middle school track meet. But if we fear we're not going to make it, we're not going to win, then it's very easy to trigger the stress response. And now we're going to be in a state where it's very easy to underperform because we've compromised our reflexes, our digestive system. Like now the stomach feels weird. You may feel really hot, hotter than the run is causing you because you've actually triggered these hormones. So heat is a factor. So now, your face is red when you go into the interview. You're a little bit shaky. You're a little nervous. You want to click your pen. Like all these things start to happen. So that's being in a competitive mode. The other thing I notice is that we hold back a little bit because if we were to give our all in those circumstances and still lose, we have no reason why we just lost. But if we hold back a little bit in the interview, in the race, then we have the justification for why we didn't do what we thought we were going to do, why we didn't make the goal. Does that make sense? So there's this holding back. It's like hitting the wall kind of feeling, like we just hold back a little bit. So how do we play all in life? How do we play all in an interview, in a race? The spirit of contribution, where you're just contributing your gifts and talents freely with no fear of loss under these circumstances, in this weather, in these conditions in the office, whatever it is, you're just contributing your best in the situation. So you're no longer trying to be the best. You're contributing your unique best. I would teach this to my violin students. So then when they took the stage, they would let go of some of that competitiveness and comparing of themselves to other violinists or other musicians, a master class. And it's so easy to say, oh, they play better than I play, and all these things. And it's like, how do you play? What is your unique best? And when we can kind of move into that, and it is a skill. It is definitely a skill to mitigate the feelings of competing and transforming them into contributing. I've my private clients who I coached, runners, wrestlers, football players, soccer players, baseball players, lacrosse players. Like I've coached almost every sport privately. And for my students who would be in that hyper competitive anxiety mode at the starting line or beginning of the game, sometimes they'd feel their throat closing up. Sometimes they would feel their heart just racing instead of being in their solid athletic heart rate. Or the starting pistol would leap their heart, and now they're in fight or flight. So helping them understand how to arrive in an athletic heart rate, but not too high. And then throughout their competition, if it's sport like hockey, basketball, volleyball, like where there's a whistle, every time the whistle blows, they relax their abs and take a long, slow breath. Keeping the abs relaxed, huge, tells the brain that you're not in fight or flight. You don't need to fight. You don't need to flee. That's going to make you so much more coordinated. Same thing in an office situation. You're going to be calm, composed. You're going to be your true self, not your stressed out self in the interview. You'll probably be interviewing them because you'll be in the driver's seat deciding if you want this job versus if they want you. I've had people tell that to me. It's really fun, my clients. Like I go in and now it's like, do I want this job versus do they want me? And that level of confidence and composure and how you share what your gifts and talents are, you're contributing. How could you contribute to this company or whatever it is you're doing in life? How can you contribute to running if you're a runner? How can you contribute to gardening if you're a gardener? Like whatever it is. So G's, that's one of them. A couple other G's that are very quick. Gentle, generous, gracious. So as you start to learn pressure free with me, um, it's a little easy to get annoyed when other people are triggered because you'll see their behavior. They'll want to argue, they're pushy, they're or they're not talking, they're fleeing. You know, you'll see all the behaviors that I've talked about in the B behaviors, the Fs. You'll see those. And now that you recognize them, I encourage you to just be really gentle, gracious, and generous with others and with yourself. It's super easy to uncover a trigger that you might have had for years or decades and just start beating ourselves up. So I encourage you, because I did this at first. Like I uncovered a trigger. I'm like, oh my gosh, I've been triggering about that for 40 years. That's crazy, right? And so when you uncover one of those, make sure you don't beat yourself up, but give yourself some grace. Be gentle with yourself. Be gentle with others. Um, you have this knowledge now. If you've been following me for a while, and especially if you're my private client, like I even had a private client we've just finished up, and she goes, "I want more. I need more." So if you've ever thought, well, she's teaching so much here, I'm just giving you a tiny little tip of the iceberg of what pressure free really is. I mean, when we dig in and work together, that's a whole different level of experience. And I have people who will do more than just my initial 3 month. They're like, I want more. I want to do more. And so then we customize what that looks like for them. I love really customizing my work. That's why I love coaching one-on-one. I love speaking and training groups too. But when I get to do one-on-one, that's the really deep work. That's when we figure out some of these things. And that's why when we're gracious to ourselves, because we uncover triggers that we've had since we were so small, maybe even in utero, generational habits that have passed down. And so that's why I include these G words to make sure that people um, don't treat themselves as their worst friend, right? Like, are you treating yourself as your own best friend, or do you self-sabotage and beat yourself up and feel bad because you missed opportunities or you've just screwed up in life? Listen, life is messy. Life is so messy. Things come at us, things hit us, we do things um, that we later so regret, but that's life. And it doesn't mean we have to continually live in guilt and shame. It's like whatever has happened in the past does not define our future, especially when you learn how to live pressure free. When you really learn how to live this, it's like black and white. It's like this is how I used to live and this is how I live now, whichever black or white you wish to go. I love the color black. I wear a lot of black. I was a musician for years wearing a lot of black. I've tried to change things up in my wardrobe because black was like one of the main colors. Um, but it's interesting to think about like pre-pressure free me, post-pressure free me. And one of my friends says it's like the de-aging process because stress hormones age us. They really age us. I have a theory about that that's a little macabre, so I'm not going to share it. But when you're not releasing all those hormones, those excesses of hormones, because those hormones are going to release in our bodies in small amounts to do various processes. But when we flood our system with them, that's a different story. So I hope this is helpful. I wish you a beautiful day. It's a very special day in our family's life today, so I'm going to go have a lovely celebration, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Have a great day. Bye.